Alright, so once again, I don't have a script for the video, so I'm just gonna kind of wing it and see what happens, and we'll see just how terrible this video gets. Let's get into it. So today I'm gonna be talking about my dream Zelda game, what I want from the next Zelda game. This is probably going to be the most unrealistic thing ever, but that's the fun of it, so I'm excited. Let's do this. So starting off with the world. I want another open world, okay? After Breath of the Wild, unpopular opinion, didn't care for Breath of the Wild, but after Breath of the Wild, I didn't really want another open world Zelda game. I didn't care for it too much. I found it super empty and boring to run across, so I kind of just didn't want an open world Zelda game. But after Tears of the Kingdom, with them making the map seem so much more full, now I am all on board for future open world Zelda games. So that's exactly what I want is big, expansive open world. Now, obviously, I don't want the open world to be the same one that we have gotten before. Okay, that is lame. That would be super boring. I want it to be completely new. I don't want there to be any. I mean, well, okay, there could be reused assets or something if they use the same art style, but like, I just don't want the geography or anything like that to be the same. I want it to be completely new, feel completely new to explore just because I love the exploration aspect of the Zelda games, and so I don't want to have to explore the same map a third time. And also, in terms of shrines, at first, I didn't think I'd want shrines back in a Zelda game again. When I discovered initially that Tears of the Kingdom had shrines, I was a little disappointed and not super happy about it. But I've changed my mind on them. I loved Tears of the Kingdom shrines. I would do more shrines in the game, but on one condition. And again, this is pretty unrealistic, but I want each of them to have a theme, alright? Instead of them just being like shrines, I want them to almost be like little mini dungeons that each have their own theme, that each have their own set of puzzles, and maybe even a mini boss at the end, similar to how Elden Ring does theirs. I think that this idea would be absolutely awesome, and I think that it would make for exploring these shrines or mini dungeons so much more fun and rewarding. You know, you could put different cool loot inside that you wouldn't find in any other location other than these dungeons. I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd make exploration a lot more fun. Now, another thing, I think that this might be pretty controversial. I don't want the durability system to come back. Alright? I don't mind it, but I would rather not have a durability system. And to add on to that, I would almost, and this isn't like a for sure thing, I am like torn on this. I would almost not even want multiple weapons. I would almost just want to go back to the original Zelda formula in the sense that you would just have one weapon and then you'd get the Master Sword and then that would be the only weapon that you had. But I honestly don't think that that would work very well in an open world game, and that'd get rid of like half the loot in the game. So I'm just gonna say that we have multiple weapons, but no durability system, because that's kind of frustrating. Or at least overhaul the durability system. Okay, so wait, hold on. I take back what I said. Keep the durability system, but completely overhaul it. Make it much better. Make it to where, well, one, the weapons have more durability. I think, like, what 10 hits that you get from a weapon is just way too strict. I would much rather have a lot more hits and then finally it gets damaged. I'd be cool with that. But whenever it breaks, I would rather it be in a broken state where you could then go and repair the weapon for a certain amount of materials. I think that if you did this, then it would give another use for materials you find in the world other than just cooking and, upgrading armor. I think it'd be cool, because then you could still keep weapons that you like, but you still have to repair them and they will still break. I also want a much more fleshed out and narrative-driven story. I miss the, Zelda days where you'd get in a Zelda game and the narrative would be like the biggest part of the story, the narrative and the exploration. I want that to come back, alright? I miss a good Zelda story. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both have had a kind of meh story. I really want to come back to a Zelda game with a really good story again. Next, I want more monster variety. Alright, now, Tears of the Kingdom definitely did improve on that. I think Tears of the Kingdom helped a lot with monster variety, and I think that there is honestly just a lot more monster variety, and I think it's a lot better, but I think they could do better. obviously, you can always improve on things, and I would like even more monsters. And yeah, because I'm like that. I think more monster variety, monsters everywhere would be awesome. I would also, I think I really would like underwater exploration, alright? We thought that that was going to be a thing in Tears of the Kingdom. I think that it should be a thing in the next Zelda game. Alright, it's been a very long time since we've had our last water dungeon. Since Skyward Sword, I think. Since we've had our last water dungeon. And I miss it, alright? I miss the underwater exploration. I think that was a really good part of the Zelda series. The underwater dungeons were always like the hardest dungeons and always, the most difficult ones that everybody had to dread doing. Obviously, the Water Temple from Ocarina of Time. And that brings me on to my next topic, dungeons. Alright, Tears of the Kingdom had a step in the right direction in terms of dungeons, but I think that Tears of the Kingdom could do even better. Alright, I think the next Zelda game could do even better. Tears of the Kingdoms were good, but they still felt kind of like Divine Beasts. And, that wasn't bad. I enjoyed that they were all themed. But they just felt too limited. I don't know. I mean, they weren't bad. They were honestly pretty good. But I still think that they could do better. I really do. I think that they could still do better. But yeah, so there's that. Improved dungeons. However they can improve it, just do that. This one's kind of crazy, but I want to see the return of Demise, okay? Demise was one of the coolest villains in the Zelda franchise. I think that the return of Demise would honestly be extremely cool. He was one of the coolest villains in the Zelda franchise, like I said earlier, and I think it'd be cool if we could do an awesome rematch with him. The next thing, and this is kind of goes hand in hand with the story improvements that I want a longer story. I feel like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom story just wasn't very long. Like, you could literally beat the entire game's story, like the entire game's main quest, in a day. It's four dungeons, boom, you're done. Final fight. I guess in Tears of the Kingdom it's 5 dungeons, then final fight. But, I mean, it's still pretty short. Like, you could still probably beat that in a day, honestly. 8 hours, you could do it. Even without glitches. But I want a longer story. I want there to be more quests that aren't just Divine Beast quests and, lead up to Divine Beast quests or just lead up to dungeon quests. I think that, if we just had main quests that drove the narrative further without just immediately going into the next dungeon would be really, really cool and kind of would just add more to the story. The next thing I would really like is more memorable characters. Now, don't get me wrong, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom had their fair share of memorable characters, but I mean, what's more memorable characters? Like, if we're gonna go into a new game, we're probably gonna lose most of the characters besides a Beetle, which is probably going to be back because, well, Beetle ends up in every Zelda game somehow because he's just like that. He's also apparently in the curse that Zelda and Link have. He's probably the one hiding the Triforce of Power. Wouldn't surprise me. Beetle is a force to be reckoned with. But, yeah, more memorable characters. I think that would be cool. So, yeah. Anyways, though, those are some things that I could come up with for what I would want for a Zelda game. There's probably more that I just can't think of right now. But, I mean, I think just another improvement off of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but make it more its own unique game. And obviously, mechanics and stuff. Now I'm realizing that there's a lot more that I want to talk about, but I'll probably save that for another video. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, though, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.